Okay, so ask Grok, how successful is using compensatory picks been for NFL teams? And this is what Grok said. Evaluating the success of compensatory picks in the NFL is a nuanced task, as it depends on how success is defined, whether it's drafting impactful players, winning games, or maximizing roster value over time. Compensatory picks awarded to teams that lose more or better unrestricted free agents than they sign provide additional draft capital, typically between rounds 3 and 7, the maximum of 4 per team per year. Since their introduction in '94, these picks have been a strategic tool for teams to replenish talent, especially those constrained by salary cap limitations. Let's break down their historical effectiveness based on available insights. Teams like Ravens, Cowboys, Patriots, Packers have historically excelled at leveraging compensatory picks. The Ravens led with 53 compensatory selections since '94, followed by the Cowboys 47, Patriots 45, and Packers 45. As noted in posts on X from 2021, these teams have not only accumulated the most compensatory picks, but have also turned them into significant contributors. For example, the Ravens' mastery of the system, often attributed to general manager Eric DeCosta and predecessors like Ozzie Newsome, has helped them maintain a competitive roster despite losing free agents. Their strategy includes signing players cut by other teams who don't count against the compensatory formula while letting homegrown talent walk for high-value picks, sometimes projecting multiple third-rounders in a single year. High-impact players drafted with compensatory picks illustrate their potential value. Tom Brady, selected in the 6th round, 199th overall of the 2000 draft as a compensatory pick, became a cornerstone of the Patriots dynasty, earning multiple Super Bowl MVPs and Hall of Fame trajectory. Larry Allen, a '94 second-round compensatory pick, 46th overall for the Cowboys, anchored their offensive line en route to a Super Bowl and later earned Hall of Fame honors. More recent examples include Dak Prescott, Cowboys 2016 4th round, Justin Simmons, Broncos 2016 3rd round, and Max Crosby, Raiders 2019 4th round, all of who became Pro Bowl caliber players. These cases show that compensatory picks, despite being later in the drafts, can yield franchise-altering talent when scouting and development align. Quantitatively, success rates are harder to pin down without comprehensive league-wide data on every compensatory picks outcome. Draft itself is a gamble. Studies suggest that only 50% of all picks round 1 through 7 become starters, with success dropping off sharply after the first round. Compensatory picks starting in 3rd, in round 3, and often around 6 or 7 face steeper odds. Yet teams that consistently hit on these selections, like the Patriots under Bill Belichick or the Packers under Ted Thompson, demonstrate that scheme fit and coaching can amplify their value. The Ravens, for instance, have used compensatory picks to sustain a defense-heavy identity, drafting players like Kyle Juszczyk, 2013 4th round, and Zadarius Smith, 2015 4th round, who became key contributors or fetched trade value. Not all teams capitalize equally. Poor drafting franchises like the Miami Dolphins, as suggested in X Sentiment from 2025, they squander compensatory picks, negate their benefit. The system rewards teams that lose high-value free agents, but converting a 3rd round pick, say pick 97, or a 7th rounder pick 240 into a starter that requires skill. The 49ers haul of 5 compensatory picks in 2024, boosted by minority hiring incentives, contrast to teams like the Bears, who had fewer total picks, highlighting how roster management and front office strategy dictate outcomes. Since 2017, when compensatory picks become tradable, their strategic importance has grown. Teams can package them to move up in the draft or require veterans, as seen with the 49ers trade for Trey Lance in 2021, partly enabled by compensatory capital. This flexibility enhances their worth beyond on-field contributions, so it's less about success in the traditional sense and more about asset management. Overall, compensatory picks have proven successful for savvy teams that scout well and integrate rookies effectively, often yielding starters or stars at a fraction of free agent costs. For every Brady or Allen, though, there are dozens of misses, bringing the draft's border hit or miss nature. Their true value lies in volume and opportunity. More bites at the apple, more teams willing to play the long game. But a universal metric like WAR in baseball, anecdotal evidence, and team records suggest they're a vital, if uneven, tool for sustained competitiveness. So again, pay attention closely to the words of being able to develop a starter requires skill. Okay, so that means you have to have a good coaching staff that can develop talent. The other key thing in this thing is if you draft poor, you can squander your compensatory picks, negating their benefits. So that's another key thing in this, is that you have to draft well and ensure that those picks hit, because if they don't, then it's not going to work. The other thing that they noted in here was Dak Prescott, right? Dak Prescott did well for the Cowboys when they had like an amazing offensive line, but as soon as you pay that guy top value market, then you have to detract from the talent that once surrounded him. And then not only did you lose the talent that helped him be good, but now you're paying a player that may not be as good as you thought he was. So now you're playing a fourth round talent player, first round talent money, and then you have to surround them with more third round, fourth round talent. So that's where you can hit a ceiling in terms of your team's success or go backwards. So in looking at the Chargers, for example, per over the cap, in 2025, we got Kenneth Murray, we got a 6 for Kenneth Murray, we got a 6 for Gerald Everett, we got a 7th for Michael Davis. So we got a 6, 6, and 7. So we used a 6 on Kamani Vidal. He's been effective when he came in. He didn't play much last year, so it's still up in the air whether he can be a contributing player or not. Brendan Rice hasn't done much. Not sure if he'll do anything. And Cornelius Johnson, we didn't keep. Raheem Steele and Cam Hart, they were effective, but I think definitely having the defensive line that we have or had has helped out a lot. So if we could let those players walk and then get compensatory picks for them, that would be a win. We end up playing these players, top market value. I don't know if that's going to help. Justin Boygby, he played a little bit, but it's still up in the air whether he can be effective or not. Jaw has been good, Ladd's been good, and Junior didn't contribute much last year, so it's still to be determined if whether he can be effective or not. So you say we hit on, as of right now, right now we know that we hit on 4 of the 7 picks. Whether that could be more or not, that's to be determined. I think the defensive coach's ability to develop players, I'm more confident in rather than those on the offensive side. So that makes me think that we need to draft high on offensive players who are already developed coming out of college rather than defensive players. However, on the flip side of that, you can draft high on defense, let them be developed, then they go sign big contracts elsewhere, and you get a lot of compensatory picks of that. I think this past year, look at the players that we let walk. Mike Williams was not developed by the offensive staff. Christian Fulton, Poona Ford, they were one-year flyers that were kind of overlooked in free agency. Defense was able to bring him in, and they went for compensatory picks. Josh Palmer wasn't really developed by the offensive staff. They did have him for a year, and he went for a compensatory pick. Mekhi Becton went to the Eagles. Apparently, they have a really good offensive line coach, so he's giving them a compensatory pick as we sign. Najee Harris, not sure if this means we get a pick or if the Steelers get a pick, or maybe it cancels out that we get a compensatory pick. Yeah, so Najee Harris cancels out for them. So my thought on Josh Palmer is that this kind of forces us to take a wide receiver or a pass catching tight end because we're losing talent we had with Josh Palmer. He was a bona fide third round pick, might even be higher than that, maybe like a 2.5. He was our best deep ball threat. And so I guess you could say we replaced him with Mekhi Becton and helps them kind of play more the style of football they want to play. We lost 3 free agents and we gained 4. So maybe that's a win in the sense that we were able to increase our talent just a little bit better in terms of using the comp pick, but that's going to be hard to evaluate because we're going to play a harder schedule this year. So in evaluating that, it's going to be hard. One other thing that is sometimes I go back and forth with is, should you let your good coaches develop talent, which according to the Grok article, it's really effective when you can develop a third round or fourth round talent or a lesser round, like a 5th or 6th. So on the flip side, do you draft high on defense, let them develop, and let them walk? The other thing with that is there's certain positions that have a high learning curve, like a D tackle, for example. You can essentially draft one the same year, plug and play, and they can probably succeed. And if you look at the Eagles' draft history, they kind of went in that direction. A lot of people, they're kind of known for drafting on the line. So this past year, they had to kind of go young on the secondary, so they went Kenyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, who've both hit. Jalen Hunt was fairly effective. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Moro Jomo signed somewhere else. Maybe not. But it makes me wonder if they just take players that are maybe in excess in the draft and then they let them walk and then they're able to get comp picks that way. Like a D tackle, for example. I think it's traditionally a overlooked position. Everyone wants the edges. Everyone wants the secondary players. But if you take one high, then you take maybe like what's left over that's still might be considered high talent in the later round. It'd be a good strategy. Here they took a D tackle first round and a DN in the second round or 6th round. Now he plays for the Tennessee Titans. Some positions that may have a high learning curve are like wide receiver. I think there's definitely somewhat of a learning curve. And, it usually takes some 6, 7, 8 games to get a hold on what the offense is trying to do, as well as learn the playbook, etc. Offensive line there's probably a little bit of a learning curve. However, I think the guard position you can get by with not having to learn as much because, especially if you have a good center who can kind of help them block the right person, etc. So looking at the Chargers, who's available for a contract next year, these are all the guys that will still be on contract next year. So I don't see Zion Johnson's name, and I don't see Sean Slater's. So them signing Mekhi Becton, that gives them flexibility in that he can play guard and he can play tackle. They could potentially kick him out to right tackle, move Alt to left tackle, let Slater walk for compensatory picks, as well as Zion Johnson. So, but the only problem with that is, again, if you don't hit on your draft picks, you might actually make your team worse. And so what the Eagles did this past year was they had Darius Slay, but they drafted Kenyon and they drafted Cooper DeJean. So Cooper DeJean and Kenyon, they did decently well, so they let Darius Slay walk. So Darius Slay signed somewhere else. So they kind of have that assurance that if we don't draft well, we always still have these other players that we can keep. Now they let Darius Slay walk, and they were able to pay Saquon Barkley. They were able to pay some other players. So yeah, they traded safety Gardner Johnson for 6th-round picks to the Texans in exchange for Kenyon Green and 5th-round pick. Traded Kenny Pickett to the Browns, exchanged for Dorian Thompson and a 5th-round pick. They released James Bradbury and Darius Slay. They re-signed Zach Bond to a 3-year contract, and they agreed to terms with Saquon Barkley through the 2028 season for $20 million per year. So also the Titans released this guy, Chidobe Awuzie. Another reason the Chargers might be waiting to sign big contracts is because Justin Herbert is going to be taking on a $46 million cap hit in 26, as well as Derwin James. And so trading him would actually save 72. Cutting him would save 96. So they might be in the market for a quarterback this year, because if they are able to trade him or cut him, they could probably do a lot with that money. But nonetheless, they still need probably one more additional backup quarterback anyways. They did sign Heineken to I think it was $8 million per year contract. So it kind of makes you wonder what they'll do in the draft. I think they definitely need to draft either a wide receiver or pass catching tight end, which they probably will, or both, probably both. And they may still need to draft a lineman, but they could probably take a later round center. Some guys that I really like that did well at the combine are this guy Eli Cox. Doesn't have a high production score, but he has good numbers. And then when I calculated his stats, he does have good stats as well in terms of pressures allowed, hits allowed. Didn't get good grades. Pass block grade is 74.2. Run block grade is 59.9. Overall offensive grade was 63.2. But if you look at the amount of pressures he allowed per game, it was only -3. Only allowed 2 hits, 12 hurries, 98 pass blocking efficiency, only 4 penalties, 14 pressures, 0 sacks allowed. So not sure how PFF gets the overall grade of 63.2. But in terms of negative things he did during the game, only a -3 per game. So that's pretty good. Could be a good late round pick up. Some other guys that I like, Joshua Gray only has a -10 per game. That's kind of a lot. Miles Frazier looks pretty good, -2 per game. Tyler Booker has a -2 per game. Seth McLaughlin, -2 per game. Luke Kandra, guard, -1 per game. And there's Jared Wilson, Willie Lampkin, Drew Kendall, Dillinger, guard. Jacob Garner is my number 1 overall. He's only 285 though, but he's a graduate student, so he's probably pretty smart. Only allowed -1 per game. The other thing that Chargers could do is take someone who is slotted to be a tackle, but is probably better off as a guard. You get one of those high, and then you feel confident in their ability to play the O-line at the NFL level. Then you can feel comfortable maybe letting a Zion Johnson walk or a Slater walk, get comp picks, and then you just kind of replenish your O-line that way. But again, how confident do we feel in our offensive coaching staff to develop talent? I mean, we have to draft high. If we don't feel confident in their ability to draft talent or develop talent, that mean we have to draft high on offense and keep guys? Or does that mean we bring in free agents that we know are developed, like a Mekhi Becton who went to the Eagles, and we know they have a great offensive line coach who's now with us? Do we go that route? And do we also draft a wide receiver where we know his route running ability is very nuanced and very developed, very good, like a wide receiver out of Texas, Matthew Golden? The only thing about him is he is only 5'11", 191 pounds. So he doesn't have traditional X size. I think we do, do you draft a similar guy like McConkey, who is going to be with us for foreseeable future, or do you draft someone who has similar abilities like a Mike Williams? Jump ball ability, fast. Not sure if there's a wide receiver like that in this draft. There is a number of wide receivers that do have jump ball ability, like Keandre Lambert-Smith. He runs a 4.3, not very tall. But he does work back to the throw. I know Herbert has mentioned that multiple times, where he likes wide receivers that works back to the throws. And he can also attack high point with sudden springy hops. Kind of like Jordan Watkins. He looked good at the combine, but he's only 5'11", 196. Runs a 4.3, pretty good vertical jump. Does he lack speed, but runs a 4.3. Plays good job playing through contact. Here's one thing I didn't like. He's a body catcher with poor catch radius, but grabs once on target. Plays by route and catch contact. Arian Smith looked pretty good at the combine. Ty Felton looks good. He's another guy with jump ball ability. ability, tracks ball over his shoulder with easy confidence. So if you want someone who's a good ball tracker, need a burner downfield and throw him a high ball, let him run underneath it, might be good for that. Isaiah Bond, fluid, fast, and untapped. A lot of people say he didn't look fast at the combine, but he looks faster on tape. And I think he's one of those guys. He's a capable route runner. That could be why. High school state sprint champ and elite top end speed. Be a factor on all three levels. Draws attention to clear out coverage for teammates. Has hips and ability to snap routes off tightly to separate. So there's a lot of guys like this. Another slot option that the Chargers could probably nab and have like 2 slot receivers in addition to QJ and Mike Williams. And then if they get another pass catching tight end, then that's a pretty dynamic offense right there. I think in terms of tight ends, obviously Loveland from Michigan, it's definitely like a prototypical pass catching tight end at 6'5", 247. He's out on the lighter side, but definitely provides a lot in the pass game. Terrence Ferguson is kind of the same prototype. Joshua Simon is on the slower end, but he has long arms and huge hands, over 10 inches. High vert. He has one of the slower shuttle times. It's still decent number. Recone is decent, not one of the faster times. So he's better as a probably good in really good contested catch situations because has a high vert, long arms, big hands, 6'4". So would probably be a good option, like throwing balls in the middle. Possesses speed and quickness to challenge man coverage and work into deep sideline pockets of the zone. Frequently used in play action drags. Takes an honest effort as a blocker. Long frame, big wingspan, and huge hands. So if you throw him a high ball, he's probably likely to catch it. So you could probably even make him an X receiver at 6'4", 240, 38-inch vert, 4'6". CJ Dippre, he's probably the most athletic tight end out of the combine, or equally as athletic as Tyler Warren at 6'5", 256. Runs a 4'6", 32 bench press. So he's decently strong. Probably more of the prototype that the Chargers are looking for, who's big, can block, but also catch in the middle of the field. Big target underneath, can win contested catches. Probably not good as a route runner, but potentially develop into a better route runner potentially. I don't have his 3-cone or shuttle, so may not have that side-to-side horizontal agility that tight end like Harold Fannin has. He definitely shows that on tape, his ability to just step side to side like a running back kind of, jump cut ability. Thomas Fadone has a good shuttle and 3-cone. He has a similar body type to Loveland. He's fast and fluid through his routes, has ability to uncover and stress the defense beyond the first level, explosive leaper, and impressive build-up speed. So you could probably even make him an X. Runs a 4.7, not terribly fast, but if you want jump ball, might be a good person to just put out there, throw him a ball. Jalen Conyers, former quarterback, he has elite recone, 6'3.5", 260, a little shorter but heavy, but fast. In terms of recone, probably be a good option in the intermediate portion of the field at 260. Catch, run, and throw. Ball skills to track and create catch space on deep fades. Decided to win in space as a move block. Gunnar Helm is 6'5", 241, so he has that Loveland prototype. Decently long arms, large hands, kind of straight line speed is kind of slow at 4.8. Not terribly high jumper. It's in 3-cone, so he's kind of shifty. Combination tight end with good size, soft hands. Capable route runner. Gavin Bartholomew, he's another kind of like prototype, Loveland prototype, 6'5", 246. Arms are not terribly long and pretty decent size. 4'7". Team captain known for unselfishness and leadership. Cradles throw into his frame with smooth hands. Rugged run finisher with ball in his hands. Plays with steady feet with fitting up blocks. Flashes desirable aggression with finishing his blocks. Below average athleticism as a route runner. Short arms can get him out of reach when attack. Inconsistent keeping blocks centered and sustained. The other intriguing tight ends are Elijah Arroyo. He has an 85 in athleticism, 6'5", 250, 33-inch arms. Production scores is 73. Miami used him a lot on sideline, so he gives you some of that X receiver ability. Jason Taylor, 6'5", 251. Look at the short shuttle top speed. Simon had the fastest. Luke Lachey, 1354. Mitchell Evans, 1299. I don't know if that relates much, but the other guy that was really interesting that just tested out of Georgia State is Avery Boyd. He ran a 4.4 an 11-inch project. That's all he did. Didn't do a vert. But yeah, the other guy is that's interesting to me is Rhonda Gadsden. He kind of is a hybrid between an X receiver and a pass catching tight end. He was used in a similar manner as Elijah Arroyo, kind of a lot spread out. He is 34-inch vertical jump, 9'6" broad, 6'4", 243. But if you look at his body type, he's definitely more of a runner. So yeah, I mean, a lot of good tight end options. I think if Chargers have the ability to trade down and nab 2, then take a wide receiver in 3rd, that could be a pretty dynamic offense right there. You have Fannin, who's could be like a fullback, as well as Oots. So Fannin ran an elite 3-cone at 6'9", 6'3", 241. You can also get a guy like JJ Puegs, Big East, is used as fullback a lot of times, got a lot of first downs. Or you could use someone like Jared Harrison Hunt, who's a former basketball player. He could probably be effective as a fullback as well. Pretty athletic. So I'm going to go ahead and do a trade down for the Chargers. Cam Ward went first, second, Hunter third, Abdul fourth, and Graham Campbell, Tyler Warren, Campbell, Essen Genty, Williams, Green, cornerback, Barron, Dolphins, Thus, Colts, Raku went to the Falcons, Ori, Bengals, Johnson to the Seahawks, Bucks, Broncos, Zero went to the Steelers. Right now there's one safety went, so there's 2 available that are rated linebacker. There's 2 went, 8 are rated high. So I think I'll just trade down. I think it makes sense to trade down with Lions. They lost both of their coordinators. Trade down again. Go with LA. See if there's good trade options. Go tight end here. Elijah Arroyo. Another trade. Go DJ Giddens. Will Howard will be this high, but I'm out. Him as an edge. Center. Conyers. Just gonna go defensive interior rest of the way. So I ended up with did a trade down with the Lions for R22 for 28 and 60. I like A.O. Maynard, prototypical X receiver on 660. I got Isaiah Stewart, edge from Michigan. And in round 2, I went Elijah Arroyo. Another trade down with the Houston Texans for their 86 and for R86 for 89 and 166. I got DJ Giddens, a halfback, Seth McLaughlin 5, quarterback Will Howard, edge Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, Jalen Conyers, Cam Horsley, Ty Robinson, Dan Jackson, Brock Taylor, wide receiver, all draft grade of B. Alec is a 79. Arroyo is 79. Isaiah Stewart is 76. Jay Giddens, 78. Will Howard, 74. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, 69. Seth McLaughlin, 3. Conyers, 73. Cam Horsley, 63. Ty Robinson, 73. Dan Jackson, not on here. Did pretty well at his combine. He had a 34-inch vert, 10.25 broad, 4.440, 7.12 cone. Decent, 3 cone, 40, good broad, and vert is decent. RG Mickens at a Clemson had a 17 bench, 41.5 vert, 10.08 broad, 4.440. Puts him, for my calculation, 3rd amongst all defensive backs in terms of athleticism. Moku out of Washington State, good numbers. I think he's on the smaller side. Dylan Brown out of West River Falls, 19 bench, 34.5 vert, 10.66 broad, 4.840. Tyrese Wright, safety out of Monmouth, 20 times bench, 35 vert, 10-inch broad, 6.913 cup. I'll put him at a 6. Rock Taylor, 65, 6'3", 215, pretty thick. Has jump ball ability. Had good numbers. I think he had somewhat of a not a high drop rate, but let's go ahead and calculate that. Overall score is 77. Wow, all right, that's my highest one yet. So not very top heavy. I didn't get any 80 scores, but I got 279s, 178, 76. So